I think
But
once
now
you
we're
get
in
to
our
your
30s.
30s, that's a dub. That's a dub.
Okay, so it's a dub.
A
At
dub.
what point then do you hang it up? At what point do you be like, maybe my standards are too high and I should reconsider? What is that conversation looking like at 35, at 38? Me at 30, I know it's changed dramatically.
Yeah, but you still have time. I only have 2 years.
Wait, why you
I've
cutting
just
off the
decided.
theater?
I've just decided.
Don't pull a Nick Cannon. Don't pull a Nick Cannon now.
Wait, what did Nick say?
Nick started procreating because he thought he was gonna die. That was what he said.
I don't think that's a death thing. Is that just a woman aging
That's
mindset?
just a woman aging. I'm just going to tell you from what I know of experience and what I know of the men that I do date and what they look for. There is a difference of perception.
Okay.
Of a woman's intrinsic value after the age of 40. It just is.
Okay.
It just is. So we might, especially black women and women of color, we look great. I've been talking to my friends about this because they look 26. You might look 30, but bitch, you 42.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And guess what else is 42? Your motherfucking eggs. Okay. This is true, and this is how a lot of men think. I've had women in the last couple of months be turned down from prospective dating potentials because he wants children. And he's nervous about the quality of her eggs and ability to give him children because she's a certain age. And nobody wants to say it. It's taboo. It's fucking real. So I say for me, who will be 38 in September, I give myself 2 more years to, quote, want it all. For me, all means you got to believe in a God, because if you don't hold yourself accountable to something higher than you, you're not motherfucking for me. Okay. Number 2, you have got to be successful. Not that you have a lot of cash, and I know we were going to talk about this for a minute, but let's just get to it. I don't care about your dollar. I mean, I do. You can't be broke. But it's less about your dollar
or a bus
amount.
driver.
It's more about your possession of the skill set to make the money.
Correct.
Because if you lose the money, you got to be able to make it again.
Okay.
It's a few other things. At 40, if I've not found said man and God has not sent him to me, I'm going to start settling.
Oh,
what
shit.
What is settling for you?
Settling means going through my list. Y'all have both seen my list.
Yes.
It's a good list.
It is a good list.
Thank you.
I ain't gonna lie. I looked at that and I was like, I might need to
I might need to copy paste some of these.
Yeah.
And that list came from lived experience.
Yeah.
That's not an arbitrary list.
But that list also came from, like this Drake date, you experiencing
I experienced certain things.
Right.
And I provided for myself, because I'm a woman of a particular age, certain things.
Right.
When I go to book a trip, if the 3 of us, let's just shoot the shit. We're going to Costa Rica.
Okay.
We're not going.
I'm going there tomorrow.
Right? I love it. Right? We're only going 4 or 5-star accommodation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Correct.
So then
That's the
why
only
am
way
I
to
go.
going
So I'm
less
doing the
than that
video.
with my man? I'm not. So that's where that comes from. We're flying. Costa Rica flight, 3 or 4 hours?
About 5
5
hours.
hours. Yeah. Bitch got a bad back. Got to be in first class. Got to be. So I'm not deviating from those standards that I hold myself for you. You know? So that's all that comes from. So in 2 years, Mandy, to go back to your question, I might not be able to get all of that and the integrity and the generosity and someone who wants a child, because that's important to me.
Okay.
And someone that will be a good father and someone that puts me first, because that's a non-negotiable for me. My last fiance, fantastic man. I was number 4.
Nice. What was number 1 through 3?
The first 3 were his children. We talked about that in the last podcast. And number 4 was
Wait, he
his job.
prioritized the children over you?
Over not just me, over any woman.
Oh.
And 2 of those children were adults.
That was the thing. And I know that we've been seeing that with Gary Owens and his ex-wife, where he's like, the kids are adults.
The kids are adults.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I don't know what that was. Something just failed.
Yeah.
But the kids are adults, and so I get that, where even you do have to prioritize your partner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, biblically, that's how that goes.
That's what I said. I believe in the divine order, which
Yeah, the
says
divine order is
God, spouse, kids.
Children. Yeah.
Period.
Once you're married, once you take your vows, 100%.
But here's the other thing about that.
that.
Let's talk about that though, Bridget. Once you take your vows. But I was with my ex for 4 years. It's not as if we're going to say I do and now our relationship
No.
goes
But there has to the precursor.
So that was your girl Eboni K. Williams a few years ago, pointing out that she knows, come on, the wall is coming. She gave herself 2 years. That was last year, actually, and she's about to be 40 in September. So she's got a few months left before the undefeated wall hits her. But in that video, she was being practical, saying, like, I know that my list the chances of me getting everything on it, and there's going to be compromises at 40. So, and that was a year ago. So she got like 7 months left before these things happen, where she's going to compromise. She's just not dating no bus drivers though. But anyways, off the bat, no dude should be in their feelings or feel any type of way about Eboni saying she won't date a bus driver. Like, that's just, she's entitled to her preference. She's a millionaire. She doesn't have to date a bus driver or any blue collar worker. Like, that's just, I wish black men specifically just didn't. I know we're in a space where, like, that's not politically correct thing to say. You're not supposed to say stuff like that. But I don't think that black men should have a reaction to that. Because 9 times out of 10, you probably won't like her anyways. Like, she exudes masculinity. She exudes a lack of femininity. That's just, maybe because of her job, maybe because of her go-getter mentality, because of, her daddy issues and whatnot. But some of these chicks that operate like that, you wouldn't even like them anyway. So I don't get why dudes. I just wish brothers would not respond to that. Like, there should be no commentary, no ammunition given to the swirlers and the divestors and the colorist chicks and all these black men are being little bitch asses crying because everybody don't want to date them. Like, don't give them that fuel. Like, yes, they should be able to talk that ish and not value your value in society. But outside of that, what Eboni said wasn't wrong in the sense of her preferences and whatnot. But then the next day she doubled down, and it's funny how Eboni wasn't making it a black thing because Eboni dates white men. Eboni's first husband was white, and her last fiance of 4 years, which she broke up with over the pandemic, which she claims was due to him putting his children before her, even though she put her career before her first husband and admitted that. But she claims that, that's the reason why they broke up. But, like, he was white too. So Eboni doesn't just date black men. So it's weird how at first Eboni even interjected and let Ivan, whatever her name is, know that, I'm not just talking about black men. She said I dated them all. Different races, different ages, so have you. She also, this side note, admitted that everybody she's dated, she's made more money than them. They've had careers, they had fields that they were in, that were professional, but she still made more. Which, in essence, if you're dealing with a chick that has her degree in a field or whatever, and she's on TV, you can't compete with those checks, no matter what, right? It's just a reality. But that money isn't consistent, and that's one thing that's weird about these women who, the Pam Olivers, the Eboni K. Williams, the Angela Rye, these chicks that are in their 40s, freezing their eggs, not married yet, perpetually single, dating multiple different dudes, is that their careers aren't, I mean, maybe to them it is, but looking from the outside in, like Pam Oliver, she's been on tape saying, yo, I chose this life. I chose not to have a family. I chose not to have kids. I chose to sacrifice all that for this job. And look what happens. A year or so after that happened, they replaced her with the Becky, Erin Andrews. Like, she lost her position as sideline reporter, looking like Chewbacca with that hair and her stuff on her head. She lost that position to Erin Andrews. And then Erin Andrews, who was a mediocre looking white woman, she didn't even last long because she got a lawsuit against some hotels because somebody was recording her butt naked, and she became a millionaire off of that. And she don't even got to go back to the sideline. But she took Pam Oliver's job. They went with a younger model, right? Even though Pam just admitted, damn. And it reminds me of that scene, if you remember in Law Abiding Citizens, when the Jamie Foxx's second in command, or his one of his attorneys, she was like, damn, like, did I work all these hours, get all this education, bust my butt to get to this next position, and just for this? She finally came to that and had that come to Jesus moment, so on, so quote unquote. And then, like, 2 minutes later, she goes up to her car and she blows up and dies. But yeah, that's what I thought of when I'm like, damn, Pam, like, you just was on tape talking about, I don't feel bad for me. I don't regret this. This is what I chose to do. And then boom, they replace you with a younger model that quick. And then you have women, like, again, back to Eboni, like, if you look at her, it's not an attack or a discredit, but like a lot of these black people who are fake elitists, their careers move laterally. Like, they don't, like Roland Martin is supposed to be the top #1 black journalist, win all these awards because who is he competing against? But like, if you look at his career, it moves laterally. Like, he goes from CNN, he goes from this newspaper to that radio station to this to CNN to now he's on YouTube with the rest of the people. Like, his career moves laterally for somebody that has the accolades and education that he has and whatnot. Like, it's not impressive. Eboni is a lawyer who technically isn't right now because she didn't renew her law license in the state she's from because she wants to be on TV. Like most lawyers, they don't want to practice law, they want to be on TV. But her career has been laterally. She was what was it? What was she doing? She was doing some show. Then she went like to Joe Budden to do his that show that they were doing, State of the Culture. That didn't work out. She claimed that Joe Budden friend ghosted her or work ghosted her or whatever. That was corny when she did that. And then she was like on some reality show for like the last couple months. Then she tried to audition for The View as the conservative voice, which I don't know why they keep giving these not conservative women the opportunity to be the conservative on The View, but maybe that's just The View. You can't be a real true conservative and be on The View. You gotta be like Eboni or that other black lady, Michelle, whoever they had on there. Like, they liberal as hell. But she sound Republican now, right now, her dating life, when she came back with that C student, mediocrity, you white supremacy. Like, she didn't make no damn sense. Like, she was trying to clap back at the people who were coming at her and defend the black women who have her standard, but it did not sit, it didn't go well. You should have left it at, for me personally, I'm a millionaire and I want to date another dude. And again, she's already said herself that he doesn't have to have the same dollar amount as her. She said that already. Like, so it's not even that. She just said he has to have a profession, has a skill that he's good at. He has to know how, if he loses it, he has to have the ability to get it back. Like, you know, so she was practical in a sense in that regard. She didn't say he has to have what I have financially. But she just not dating no bus drivers or no blue collar worker dudes or whatever. It is what it is. No dude should be offended by that. I think you're a pussy if you are. Too emotional. Like, stop. Like, no. Like, that's just not, it shouldn't be a thing for us. But you know, it's funny because I was talking to this one chick, you know, overly educated. Now she has her master's in nurses, and I was talking about how like one of my lieutenants in the academy, who was acting captain / lieutenant. Nobody wants to be captain because they don't make money and get overtime. But if you're a lieutenant, acting captain, which everybody wants to do, you can get all the overtime you want and get that lieutenant, that captain salary. That's the cheat code. But he was saying, like, raise your hand. How many of you went to college? You know, and all these people that are trying to get into law enforcement later on in life or whatever, get that state job, that government job. They're like, yeah. And he's like, ha, you know, just laughing like, and I didn't go to college and I've got 20 years on the job and I make like $200,000 a year, blah, blah, blah. And you went to school and you're in debt still and you're here, right? Like, she got offended when I said that because I'm like, well, why don't you just say that you can't handle it or you couldn't hack it or you couldn't do it? I'm like, it ain't that deep. But I will say, many of these lieutenants and people who say these things, they paying for their kids to go to college. Maybe not their sons because they want them to do the same thing or push them towards that direction of law enforcement or firefighter or something like that, or military even. But these dudes are paying for their children to go to college. So all that, out of that $200,000 you making, you spending 10, 20 G's a year to pay for your kid to go to college, which you correctly point out, you make more money than these people who have all these masters and degrees and even the different levels of nursing. Like, some of these people in residency still making like $60,000, $70,000. And they got $300,000 in debt. I watched a little clip on Instagram where the two chicks was nurses, and they wasn't even in the north or on the East Coast. But the one only made $65,000. The other one only made my boy sending me messages. He's in Colombia right now. I told that man to wrap it up. He wild boy. Turn on vanish mode. I did not turn on vanish mode. Turn that shit off. I want to see what he said. Anyways, how did I turn this crap on? He sent me a message. Anyways, but yeah, that was just like, the point is that some people don't realize that it's not even about the money amount. It is about the education. It is about so-called the class situation. It's a bunch of ranchers and white dudes that are worth millions of dollars and whatnot. Like, I just got done watching Yellowstone finally, and I finished this 4 seasons. But like, the ranchers aren't necessarily rich. They have a lot of land, which they could be rich if they sold it or whatever. But that's defeating the purpose. But like, he's a dumb rancher, but he's got a lot of money because he sells beef and whatnot, and he can sell off land, and everybody wants to buy the land, and everybody wants to take it to eminent domain and whatnot. But he's just a dumb bumpkin. But he made sure his son went to law school, Harvard, to be a lawyer, to be able to defend that land. Right? So it's like a bunch of people with no education that some people look down on, and the class-wise, they hire all you educated people to protect their stuff that they built without the education that you have. It's crazy, right? Like, that's how that works. But all that aside, back to Eboni. She does come off like a snob. She does come off like an elitist or whatever. Her whole double down was just, it made her look bad because she was good. If she would have just kept it at, I personally don't want it. Again, she's been realistic, saying like, I know most people aren't gonna be able to get what I get, especially on TV. She also acknowledged that like, she's been in those circles, because the one lady in the Breakfast Club is like, she should look at what the men that she wants to date are dating, and they're not dating her, despite how people feel about the age gap thing. Diddy's gay as hell, but yeah, he still rolled up with a 25-year-old to the Met Gala, right? Like, these dudes are still doing that. Eboni, as attractive as she is, it is what it is. Like, dudes ain't. The same girl I was talking to about, I told about what the captain said. And this made me kind of feel some type of way because we're talking a little bit, but it's like, she's telling me about this African dude that the last dude she's kicking it with, whatever, and how, like, shit together, African, drive the car, got the physique, all that, carry himself well. Apparently, he just wanted to smash the innards and let her do her and him do him. Obviously, she, after getting it smashed a few times, she claims that she wasn't with that or whatever, right? But I guess he came back in her life talking about, and then this chick has a master's degree in nursing or whatever, and can just go up. She's a 6-figure income and can just go up from there, whatever. And she goes, well, recently I guess he started trying to holler at her again, or maybe settle down, but as she's in her 40s, she's attractive for her age, whatever. Yet, and she's confident in all that, but yet she still in the back of her mind knows this dude's African, he comes from a different culture. He could have his pick of the litter. If he called his parents right now, they got 3 women to choose from him that want to be his wife. Like, so she's acknowledging, there's a confidence, but there's still a acknowledgement like, yo, I'm 40, this dude is a little bit younger, he wants to have kids and a family and all that and a bunch of kids. I'm at the end of that. I might squeeze out one more, but that's might be it. And if that happened in the next few years, so in her mind, she's rationalizing like, yo, because all these women talk about they don't ever run into these dudes that are on point and got their shit together, whatever. But every sister I talk to has had that story or have had that dude that they've come across that are like that. But it was one thing or another why it didn't work out, or why it didn't be a thing. The whole he was too controlling or he was too demanding or whatever. Side note, I am just talking to females too. Like, how they try to play like African men are better than Black American men and they're more career focused and they know how to protect and provide and all this stuff. They be doing some grimy stuff though when they do, like, they will get you married to you and all that, but they're gonna cheat on you too, the same way. They're gonna be emotionally abusive sometimes. And when they break up with you, they're going to hide the fact that they make money or get ways around it. And they're not going to come see their kids. As much as legacy and children and all that are important to them, they will find ways to get out of it, even though you helped them get their visa. I'm just saying, I've talked to several women recently, and they just be telling me about what their ex-Haitian husband did, what their ex-Jamaican husband did, what their, ex-African husband was doing. Like, yeah, they look great on paper, but are y'all really compatible outside of that? That was just a side note, because I'm just noticing that you're hearing, just listening to female friends and associates and whatnot about their situation. But anyways, that girl was basically acknowledging like, yo, I'm 40, and I'm sure his mom is not gonna like that. I'm sure at the end of the day, he wants to probably get with him a young 25-something-year-old to have a bunch of babies with. I don't want to choose him and then he just ups and leaves, or after we have a kid, and so it's like weird how a woman could be confident in her abilities and thinking she look good and knowing she look straight for her age and all that, at the same time still be like, yo, I am 40. Like, dudes be leaving chicks for the younger model all the time. Like, even her argument was like, if I get married, I'm getting I don't believe in divorce, but in my prenup, if you do cheat on me, that would be in there. That would be part of the situation, that if it's any cheating on or whatever, that you got to pay me. Like, that's what she said. So it was just weird that, and even Eboni, as attractive as she may be physically, personally, inward, I don't think she's all that attractive, but she even said the same thing though. I got 2 years left before I know that I can't get anything. I can't get what's on my list. And then she broke down in the segment, as you heard, what she's going to chop off the list or what might be missing from the list. I disagree with the narrative from some of the YouTubers like Sarge and all that I'm not promoting matriarchy and I'm not going to advocate for her getting with not necessarily a bus driver. Like, again, like that's her preference, but doesn't matter if you promote it or not. It doesn't matter if you say do it. If there's the problem, and the problem is I'm lonely and I want to settle down, have kids, and have a family, and the men that I think that I want don't want me, what other options do I have? This narrative that people are going to just die alone and whatever, the Kevin Samuels arc thing, or that's just not practical. Like, people are going to compromise. People are going to not do whatever they have to do to not be alone. And you can't even say it's promoted in the community, because Ebony not in the community. Ebony most likely will get married again to a white man who's older, and he's not gonna have half the stuff on her list, and she's most likely gonna make more money than him. As she already admitted, she's already done, right? So, and again, she was engaged to a guy that had 4 kids. So even if he had money, and she said 2 of the 4 kids were adults, but I'm sure his resources and stuff were already divided on that alone. He had 4 kids, so of course, even if he had a good income, it still probably could compete with hers, because he got 4 other mouths that he feeding, or helping a wedding, or helping buy the college for, or helping get into college or whatever, right? So she not even tripping on that aspect of it, right? Like, she wants a professional man, obviously, but she knows that she's gonna make more money than any guy she's dating. So this notion that she should just die alone and she place herself at the market, it doesn't matter. It's not a matter of me believing it or promoting anything. It's just not going to happen. Women like that are going to find somebody. There's always some simp dude that she even said it though. There's some dude she got in her friend zone, or dudes that she made connections with that she probably didn't like, this and that, and she nitpicked it. She's going to go right back to that dude and give him an opportunity if he's still single. That's generally what they all end up doing. So, like, no one's going to just, I'm going to just fade away and die alone. Like, it's just not going to happen. She's going to compromise, on her words, and she's going to go back and dust off all the dudes she dismissed, and some thirsty-ass dude who would like to be in that position and be with her, is going to go for that. Even though she rejected him at one point in life, he going to still go fall for that. Like, that's what happens. Ain't none of these women going, if they still look good and they still know dudes want them, it's going to just die alone, right? It's just not going to happen. Whether you claim it's promoting it or not is irrelevant. It's just what's going to happen. That's what happens, okay? And it's beyond the racial lines. Like, the women in other groups who are in that same position that Ebony's in and feel the same way, happens, right? They say the numbers of marriages down because of the white men not going to college or whatever, and not they checking out the system too. But eventually you see, because you go to those conservative spaces, the white people are complaining about the white men, the white women, and the fathers, the Dave Ramseys. They're complaining about the white boys not measuring up and not doing this and not doing that. The Jordan Petersons, they want you to be a cog in a wheel. They want you to participate in the system, not telling you how to fix the system or change things that would encourage men to want to be married and whatnot. They're not doing that. They're just saying, you suck it up, hashtag deal with it, just be a cog in a wheel, even though it's little simple things that can be changed to make it more accommodating for men too. None of this happy wife, happy life shit, that shit is done. happy home, happy spouse, happy house. Both people need to be happy and, you know, feel that their needs are being met, not just one party. Like, those days are over with. But and not to mention just looking at, because I was gonna do a separate video because this lady posted something about what Steve Harvey said about men protect and provide and don't be worried about what women bring to the table, and of course a bunch of chicks is gonna run with that. But it's like, even that needs to be discussed, because you had all these, it was a black woman who's been married for 20 years. Again, it's like people who've been married forever, people who are like Steve, 66 years old, like, they have no idea what this data market is and what the world is changing. Stuff needs to be updated. Like, we're arguing for things that just don't exist. Like, our economy is not even pushing it. Again, we're a year and a half out of a 2-year lockdown. Like, things have changed. Banks are crashing. We just lost 2 banks. The dollar is falling. Like, what are we talking about here? Obsidian over there talking about the average date is $200. Who the fuck is doing that? We about to be in a recession. Like, that's why we in a recession, because people do dumb shit like that, right? Like, no, be frugal with your money. All that lifestyle shit is going out the window for a little bit right now because the economy is falling, and that's when you see people getting more practical. That's when people start being like, oh shit, like, I'd rather have somebody helping me do something with these bills than be doing it all by myself. And that's when, you know, it is what it is. But I'm at 20 minutes, 21. Yeah. All these conversations need to be updated. We're arguing for ideals and ideas that just, it don't matter how you feel or what you want to promote. People are going to do whatever the F they want to do. And it's better to deal with people who they are, not try to enforce some type of ideology on people that they just don't subscribe to. It is what it is. Do we need more patriarchal head of house men leading households? All that, yes, but what percentage of the community is going to be on that? Not the majority of it, because the majority of the white community is not on it. Majority of other groups aren't on it. Like, it is what it is. Times have changed. We are not, no matter how many times I say it, we are not going back to 1950. Too many women are in male-dominated spaces, taking up jobs and opportunities that men had. The only way to get this is if something catastrophic happened, which we almost saw with COVID. We saw a lot of women walking out of the workforce. We saw a lot of women saying, like, I want to be home with my kid, because they were working from home, and their kids, some people's kids did improve. A lot of kids are just dumb now because of that, but some parents who actually are involved and took the time, they saw what was teaching. You know, that's what whole happened in Virginia with the white soccer moms. That's what they want to call it. Identity politics, what it is. But they saw what kids was getting taught in school, and they was like, we don't like this shit. And they went in and took over school boards and all that. They got more active and they got more involved. I'm like, yo, if I'm, you know, my job is the child's first teacher, and y'all teaching my kids some stuff I don't co-sign. They got involved, and they're like, okay, well, I'm choosing my family over this career or whatever. Or, you know, or I'm working and I'm paying this amount of money for babysitters. But what do the left want to do? Like, nah, we'll pay for the health care. We'll pay for the child care so that you can come back to work and be a tax-paying citizen and contribute to the society, even though that might not be a net positive as a whole, right? But that's just my video, though. Ebony didn't say anything wrong in her preference, but she definitely effed up with the comeback and the whole C students, D students, mediocrity, white supremacy. Like, she didn't make any damn sense in that. And I get it, she's probably emotional and feels some type of way because everybody was coming for her head. I wish black men would stop doing that. If a woman voices a preference, yes, we know that they eggplant police us a lot, but most of the eggplant policing ain't even from them. It's from other black men and on YouTube. I see more of that from the black manosphere and men in that community than anybody else. Like, they do the most of the dick policing. So you can't even be mad at them for that. But, yeah, even Ebony acknowledged, like, yo, I got so much time before I can get what I want and what I desire. And after 40, I'm going to chop it off. Some people say that's too late. That's one of the comments on this video that I did. Hey, Ebony Cable, she hit the wall in 2 years. Look that video up. But, some people saying that's too late. I don't think it's too late. I think she will end up compromising. She's going to go back in that Rolodex and that book and pick one of the dudes that's just waiting and thirsty and want an opportunity. And they gonna be together. They probably gonna have kids through in vitro or whatever Dwayne Wade wife did with that test tube baby. Leave the baby alone. But Yeah, especially when they at that income level, they have a little cheat code, right? Like they got cheat codes. The average woman can't do that, right? The average chick, no. Like again, it's weird too. Like the last being back out on the dating market and back out there in these streets, in the words of Charlemagne, it's weird how like majority of the women I run into have been in the medical field in some form or fashion. Like either cancer or two of them. One of them is a nurse's manager. Another one, that's the one that got the master's in nursing. Like it's weird. Like that's where most of them are overly educated, is in the nursing field, which is weird. And some of them have good positions. Like they're none of the people I met. I think one chick. She's 25. She's still at the bedside, but I'm sure she has the aspirations to not be there for long. Because she seems like she has her head on her shoulders as far as her education, but she be out there. I be seeing her Instagram. She cute, dark skinned little chick, but she just wow. She be out there on them clubs and whatnot. So she definitely not something that guy at my ripe old age should be even entertaining. But most of the women that I've encountered in this last year have been in nursing, and ironically, many of them have also dated dudes that are in law enforcement in some form of fashion too. That's interesting. But yeah, Eboni, let's see what happens with this Eboni thing. I see Tesla Figaro. She tried to give her bail. She did a whole interview with her. She tried to cape because she's the hood whisperer and try to say like, yeah, this Eboni might be able this way, but most black women don't. And if we're being realistically, most black women who are in nursing or in some educated field, whether they make good money or not, they are dating a blue collar dude. Like that's just the fact of reality. Like most of them are doing that. So it's not even like we can say that this is like an epidemic of a problem. Most men, regardless of race, they have blue collar jobs that make decent incomes, where they could be making more than their wives and the women. You know, one of my boys, again, I remember he was young as hell. He worked at Dunlop, making $25 an hour at like 18. He should be at 35, 40 bucks or 35, something like that now, because he's been there like over 10 years. But like he saved his money at 25, moved out, bought a house, a $90,000 house in a decent neighborhood. You know, had his truck, sold his motorcycle, got the slingshot. Like young as hell, blue collar worker, making 70, 80,000 a year, a lot of overtime, all that stuff that comes with that. But and it's like, like chicks that's black chicks that was nurses and black chicks that were pharmacists that would like shit on him, even though he has his own home, multiple vehicles, and no real debt other than his house and his his toys. Yeah, you got a shitload of consumer debt, college debt, but you looking down on him, and he living Gucci and living good, and that's probably why he with a Puerto Rican right now. But that's my video. I'm out.